South Sydney march on, Jason. Take us into the sheds and the overriding emotion for you.
Yeah, it's pretty calm, to be honest. We know how tough a job we've got ahead of us now, and I was pretty pleased as a coach to see how they were flipping their mind straight to the task that's coming up next week. But yeah, really proud of their effort. I thought defensively we're outstanding again tonight, and that'll be important next week.
Is that mindset super important, given you've been here before and it doesn't matter what happened now, it's all about next week?
Yeah, 100%. I keep saying it, it's all about the 80 minutes. I think it's our 4th or 5th prelim in a row, so that's a huge rap to our board and our club in general for consistently being able to put a team out there that can achieve that kind of thing. So, but for this group, it's about going one better than we went last year, and that's, I think, where the mindset went straight after the game.
Can you see the evolution in this team already? I know it's your first year as head coach, but in the final series itself, that you're better than last year?
Yeah, I think it's hard to say that because we were a bit clumsy with the footy tonight. I thought that it was probably a bit looser than we thought it was going to be, and that created. We all thought we were the Globetrotters and could throw offloads every 2 minutes, but yeah, defensively, I'm really happy where we're at. And we know we got points, but we've got to tidy up our completion rates and our errors. And if we do that, we know how hard we are to beat. And we get to go to a core next week, which is our home, and we're excited about that.
Was the last couple of weeks anything to do with maybe the scrappiness of tonight, the errors that you're talking about?
Yeah, I think finals games are generally tighter fought and there's less space when you got the footy. But I felt like we were finding space, and that was creating a bit more excitement in us, and we were probably pushing it. In saying that, we scored 38 points, so by no means am I unhappy with what we did with the footy. I thought we did some wonderful things, but I know that Penrith, if we give them that kind of ball, they'll lock us in our own end and they'll make it near impossible to get off our try line. So, we've got to address that.
Can you update on the injuries?
Yeah, Saliva's got a calf problem, so fingers crossed. Physio's hopes it's not too bad and he might be okay. Jai's just got a groin thing that he's carried for weeks, but he'll be fine. We had a couple extra changes and the score had gone away, so it was pretty easy to get him off. And then AJ's got a hip flexor issue, but again, they're not serious, but fingers crossed we can get stuck into the rehab and 7-day turnaround, we can get them back.
I was going to say, you mentioned the lines, but they seem to be jamming off their line really quickly, especially in that first half. Are you proud that the team didn't get frustrated and then you did find a way to actually get around them and led to 38 points in the end?
Yeah, I think that's our bread and butter. When we're in the right headspace and we're playing calm footy, we don't really get rattled by what teams do. We go to plan B, plan C if we need to, but I was really happy with our right edge tonight. I knew that they were probably going to compensate for what our left edge did last week, and off the back of that, we started pulling them apart on the right edge, and I thought Keon and Lachlan Ilias and Latrell on that side did some wonderful things, and Campbell Graham showed why he was our players' player this year. He was outstanding tonight.
How important was the try right on half-time? Not really a try you see too often in finals footy.
No, like I said, it was we got to the right field position, and I'll give Skip a rap. His handling, his ball playing was again first class, and yeah, the hands for that try was. I wasn't quite happy with Tane Milne's put down, so that was a bit too close for comfort. But I don't think Skip was happy with it either. But yeah, it was a try that came off the back of just being patient, staying down there, playing with our eyes up, and yeah, it was a pretty special try.
JD Junior Totola was enormous tonight. You can't afford to lose him. He's on report. What do you think of it?
I think he's all right. Like, there's no doubt he puts it in a position where he'll probably get fined, but he didn't go on with it, so I'm pretty sure he'll be okay.
JD, you mentioned completion rates there for the first time all season. I've heard you mention them, but the way that you played, particularly early on, you seem to be very confident in playing your style of footy to get into that position, which is obviously that incurs the risk of dropping the ball.
Yeah.
It seems that you're one of the few teams who are more interested in playing that way, even in finals when you might expect a bigger grind.
Yeah, I'm not disappointed when we're playing footy and we're creating error and we're coming up with the odd execution error, but when we're forcing offloads that we don't need to force, I think that was the area I was probably, when I offloading to a guy's in a better position than us, then great, I'm more than happy to love offloads, but I think at times there was space. We're one of the best teams that go and play for play in the competition, that we don't need to force it because we'll get them on the next play, and that's probably the mindset that we need to take into next week.
So, Dave, do you reckon, like next year, there's been a lot of talk about about Cody and Latrell in the last couple of nights. The bloke next year's sort of been overlooked in how good he's played and the role he plays in your attack as far as digging into the line and whatnot.
Oh, he's pivotal. Our spine extends to our 13. It's not just our 6, 7, 9 and 1. It's our 13. He has a huge role in that. And I think if you look across the board, Isaiah Yeo is a very similar role. Radley when he's playing, and Jake Trebojevic for Manly as well. So that type of ball playing 13 is pivotal, and it takes a lot of pressure off your halves.
Spoke on Lachlan earlier, his defence not like he had a try saver almost in the first half, then forced an error on Wade Graham. For a guy playing probably the biggest game of his career as a halfback, that was pretty noble. Yeah,
I thought he was excellent the week before off the back of, I thought he got some good lessons in round 25 in big games. Halfbacks defensively, that's where teams are going to go in big games, because generally they're your smaller men or your weaker defenders, so that's where teams will like to go. And I thought the Roosters did that in round 25, and like I said to him at the time before the game, that it's going to be the best learning he's going to get for finals, and he's backed that up. The last 2 weeks his defence has been outstanding.
Unfinished business. Sorry, Joe. There's a bit of unfinished business. That will be the headlines around coming up against Penrith. So what's the feeling like internally when it's a grand final rematch in a prelim?
Oh, we're under no illusions that this is the hardest task in the game at the moment. To beat Penrith in a final series, I think over the last 3 years, I think Melbourne's the only one who's done it in the GF. Other than that, they've been pretty hard to beat. So we know how tough it'll be, but we know we can do it as well. So we'll be going to the game, we'll be prepping well, we'll have a plan, and we'll step into the fight over the 80 minutes, and we'll see where we land.
They did beat JD, they look untouchable, got a week off, flying high, won the minor premiership. What's the key to knocking them over?
I think we need to score more points than they do. Look, it's not rocket science. They play a field position game off the back of Nathan's kicking. They complete high, they put you under a lot of pressure, and they break you down physically. And I've no doubt that's how they're going to play. They've done it for 3 years, and they'll do it again this week. And we've got to be able to take that. We've got to be able to protect our try line and keep turning them away. And we've got to challenge the scoreboard as well. We can't just think that to beat Penrith we can go set for set and hope that we can win 6-4. We've got to challenge the scoreboard, and that's what we'll be prepping to do.
Jim, can you just tell us what's the resolve like in the shed? Like JD said, pretty much straight away everyone's already thinking about next week, the task at hand. I think the Panthers have not ended your season the last two years in a row. They're a bogey team for you, obviously, like they probably are for everyone.
Yeah, feeling was good in the sheds after the game. It's always good to win in these circumstances, and obviously make another prelim final. And like Coach said, it's going to be a big game against them. They're the benchmark, and they have been for the last 3 years. So we're going to have to be good.
JD, how much do you learn from the late season meeting with them, where obviously you lost in the last 5 minutes, where you really had the beating of them, especially in the first half, by playing sort of a different style completely to what Penrith were trying to, to what most teams do. So will there be much to learn from that?
Oh, there's always learnings from every time we play them. We've had some epic games over the last couple of years, and we'll go in, like I said, with a plan of how we can disrupt their line speed and try to minimise the threat they have with their defence, and that's what they do. They come after you with their defence. So we'll have a plan for that. But Nathan and Jerome Luai didn't play last game, so we're under no illusions that they're going to be a different team. But we've got some bodies that didn't play as well. So, like I said, both teams know how tough this game's going to be. We're under no illusions, but we're here for a reason. We've got to believe in that, and we've got to turn up ready for a war next week.
I think Gus said on the commentary that South won't be intimidated by Penrith. I take it you agree with that sentiment? That's the best thing about South.
Yeah, look, like I said, we're under no illusion how tough it's going to be, but we're here for a reason. This has been going since we started this in December. And we're working our backsides off, come through a lot of adversity. I see there's some real resilience in this team at the moment, and that's going to be important. We're going to have to use that. We're going to have to use every ounce of motivation we've got to prepare ourselves for an 80, 90-minute battle, whatever it takes. And that's going to have to be our mindset, because Penrith don't beat themselves. They're highly motivated. They work extremely hard for each other, and they've got some pretty skillful players as well. So, but like I said, we'll turn up. We'll put our gloves on. We'll step into the ring, and we'll have a crack.
I think Latrell, I don't know whether he was joking, he said after the game that South, he's just glad you're on the right side of the draw. I take it you agree, disagree?
Yeah, I'm not so sure what he means, what right side. I think he means, you know, this is a game where we're getting them before the GF. So, but again, you know, like I said, they're a highly motivated team, and they have been for 3 years. That's what impresses me the most about them. They just have a desire to represent themselves and their region, and they work really hard for each other. But the people who are out there in red and green with a Rabbitohs jersey on, they'll be turning up. I've got no doubt about that. And like I said, we'll be ready to play.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.